Hi, kindergarten. This week we're going to learn all about texture. Texture is how something feels. So when you look at your table or your desk, how does it feel? What words would you use to describe how it feels? I think this is hard, but it's also smooth. Now think about petting a dog or a cat. What words would you use to describe how those feel? Soft? Furry? Now think about touching the bark of a tree. How does a tree feel? Well, it's probably hard, but it's not smooth. Bark can be a little rough, right? Now, when we draw, we are drawing on a smooth piece of paper. But we can create the illusion of texture by drawing it. So, to help us learn how to draw with texture, let's do an example together. We're going to draw a picture of an owl, and then I'm going to show you how we can make that owl look fluffy and soft. So, to draw my owl, I like to start with the eyes first. And to draw eyes, they're just two ovals. So, let's draw them, and they're going to be right in the middle of our paper. So right in the center, find the middle. And then right in the middle, you're going to draw one tall oval. And then draw one the exact same size right next to it. Now, of course, they don't have to be perfect, just try to get them close. And don't make them too small or too big, about this size, so medium-sized. Now, the fun part here is we get to decide where this owl is looking, and we can change that by where the pupil of our eye is. That's the dark part of our eye. So, let's see, a couple options. I could have my owl looking straight ahead by drawing them in the middle. Now he's looking like he's looking straight ahead. Our owl could be looking to the left. Or he could be looking to the right. He could be looking down. Or he could be looking straight up. I'm going to stick with my first example with him looking to the left. Let's add a beak. The beak of our bird, it's real simple. It's just a letter V shape. It's trying to look a little bit more like a bird. We could even give them little nostrils because birds, their nose and their mouth are all in the same beak. So drawing two little lines will make it look like he's got little nostrils for his nose. Alright, what should we add next? Well, I think he needs a body, so let's give him a nice big round body. We're going to do another oval. And this oval is going to start on the side of his eye, and it's going to curve around and end on the other side of his eye. Next, let's see. I think we need to finish the head of our owl here. Now, owls, they have little pointy decorative feathers on the top of their head. They kind of look like ears, although they're not their ears, they're just feathers. And let's draw that by drawing two lines going straight up on either side of its head. Like an 11, 1, 1. And then let's connect the tips of those ears with a curved line. If I'm ever going too fast for you, you can always pause the video until you get caught up. Alright, let's give him some wings, because he's a bird, right? He's got to be able to fly. However, my owl, or our owl, is going to be sitting on a tree branch. So his wings aren't going to be out like he's about to fly. They're going to be folded in, like he's just kind of sitting down and looking around. So let's add two curved lines on either side of his body, like that. And it'll kind of look like his wings are folded up. Alright, now let's give him some feet. He's got his arms, body, head. Now he needs some feet. Now you can create these legs two different ways. An easy way and a hard way. The easy way is 2 lines, and then a zigzag for the toes. And of course, that'll be the 2 feet on either side of the bottom of his body. Or if you're up for a challenge, let's try drawing these. So you're going to draw, in fact, I'm going to draw it right on him, 2 lines next to each other, kind of skinny. These are going to be his legs, his ankles. Owls have really skinny ankles. And then his toes are going to be kind of like a zigzag, but much longer. 3 long points. So kind of like the start of a V or a capital letter A. It's that kind of shape, but longer and skinnier for each toe. Kind of like a zigzag. You try it. Alright, we're getting there. I think we're almost done with our owl. We need to give him some place to be standing now. So let's add the tree that he's standing on. Now, we don't have to draw the whole tree. Pretend we're zoomed in really close on a part of a tree. So we're actually just going to draw the side of the tree trunk. So we can do that by having a line going down, but instead of a straight line, maybe wiggle your hand a little bit as you draw to give it a little bit of a rough look to it. So kind of a rough, bumpy line going down. And that's the start of adding texture, how something feels. So I used a bumpy line to show that the tree is bumpy. We're going to talk more about texture in a second. Next, let's add the branch coming off of that tree. So I'm going to draw a line coming out, and this can be bumpy too. And I'm going to make sure it's going underneath his feet. So it looks like he's actually standing on it. But I don't want that branch to be that skinny. Let's thicken it up a little bit by adding a second branch. It kind of curves up a little bit and then goes straight. And now we got a tree branch. Alright, here's the fun part. This is where we get to add texture to show how it feels. So let's think back to how a tree feels. Does it feel soft? Smooth? Rough? Bumpy? Think about what words you would describe. Now to help us draw texture, let's think back to our basic lines that we learned from our rocket ship drawing. We have straight lines, wavy lines, zigzag lines, bouncing lines, all sorts of different kinds of lines, and each of these lines kind of has a different feeling to it. So out of these lines, which one do you think might be good for smooth? What would be a good smooth line? When I think of smooth, I think of something that's flat. And the flattest line that we have here is a straight line. So that'd be pretty smooth. A wavy line is kind of like bumpy, right? So if we were to imagine how it would probably feel a little bumpy. A zigzag line is pointy, right? When you think of things that are pointy, they think maybe it's kind of rough or jagged or maybe even sharp, right? And these bouncing lines might look sharp this way, but if you look at it the other direction, it kind of looks fluffy now. Kind of like a cloud or a pillow. So lines can show texture. Let's see how I can add some of those lines to my tree to create that texture. For my tree, I'm going to do bumpy lines. And I'm going to do short bumpy lines. Because if you look at the bark of a tree, it doesn't go all the way down in a straight line. There are small little pieces of bark. So I'm going to do short, small little pieces of these wavy lines to show the texture of that bark. We can also add some to the branch. But since the branch is growing this way, our lines should go that way.
I think that's some fun texture to our tree, and I think it makes it look a little bit more like a tree. Now let's talk about our owl. Owls are soft and fluffy, so I think a fluffy line would be good for this. Doing these wavy lines kind of look like rows of feathers, right? Shows the texture and how it feels. If you're not sure how to draw that line, well, let's look. If you look at this, it's kind of like a lowercase w, right? But it's a lowercase w that keeps on going. Bouncing and bouncing and bouncing. Now, if you want, you can add more bouncing lines, but maybe you want to do a different kind of texture inside of the wings. Maybe a curved line. Curved lines still feel kind of soft. If you want to try a different kind of line inside, you can add any kind of line you want. Just think about what you think would look the best. Maybe I'll do some stripes just for fun. Alright, so I think we got plenty of texture and details to our owl. Next week, we're going to learn all about how to add more details to the sky and add color to our owls. Alright, when you're all finished, make sure you take a picture of this and add it to our seesaw activity. Can't wait to see what you come up with.